Hey babies, I wanted to make a video. I haven't done one in a few days, and yeah, to be honest, I think making videos for you guys is really the only thing that's kind of keeping me sane during this pandemic. Kind of puts a bit of a lid on the panic. Anyway, I was thinking today that I wanted to talk to you guys about how important it is to me, how important I think it is, period, that you remain close as siblings. I like your age spacing. I think it's good. I think there's enough space between you where you can kind of look out for each other in certain ways. Adahi, you know the story of the one time I've ever seen you engage in any violence. And it was defending your brother when he was, I don't know, 1 or 2. And you were 3 or 4. And you were crying the whole time you were hitting the kid. But yeah, the kid had put his hands on your brother and you weren't having it. And I let you for a few seconds because it's important that you feel like you can defend your brother. And I think I told you the story of how Grandma did that once when we were living on the res. And this kid, Obi, I think he pushed me off of my bike. It was probably the exact same age difference. I was probably 1 or 2, and yeah, you know there's the same difference between me and my brother as there are between you and your brother, Dahi. Anyway, yeah, he pushed me off. My brother had put me up on his bike or something, and he pushed me off and I fell, and yeah, just like you, my brother jumped on top of him and just started swinging, Sugar Ray Leonard. And my mom, I remember looking over and looking on my leg and seeing that my skin had turned white before it started to bleed, which happens sometimes if it's kind of a shallow enough scrape. I just remember being like fascinated by that because I was like, is that bone? It's white. But it was just my skin, corpuscles. And I just remember looking up and seeing my mom standing at the screen door and wondering why she wasn't coming to run and grab my brother off this kid. But I could see her just standing there watching, and after a few minutes, she didn't even come out. She just said, okay, Kenny, that's enough. And he got up. But she let him wail on that kid for a good second until the kid had a bloody nose because he was defending me. And sometimes you gotta throw hands to defend the people you love. Sometimes it'd be nice if you never had to, but yeah, sometimes you have to. One of the reasons I think it's so important that you remain close as siblings, Song and Intes and Adahi, is because the life we've kind of lived before, moving here to Canada. You guys had Finn, and you had Emma, and you had Kim's children, and Adahi, you had, William Neal at school. But for the most part, I don't know that you guys have ever had a life full of big groups of people, and it makes me a bit sad. I wish that my family didn't live in that rotten state of Texas that I hate so much, but I wish that you guys had grown up around cousins and, your family, my family. So we always had a very small tribe, and a lot of the tribe was older. You had Sophia and Emma who took care of you and, but weren't so much your peers. And then when we moved here, yeah, it's been a struggle for all of us socially to find any connections at all. And so one of the most important things, if you watch movies or if you read books, one of the most important things Village and friends can do is they're there to bear witness to your existence and your history and who you are at different points in your life. And yous will change so much as you grow. You really will. You're the kind of children that will change quite a bit. And it's so good to have people who can kind of remind you of your history, where you come from, who you were, what you loved, what you hated, what moved you, what thrilled you. That's important because when you kind of have that oral history of yourself, you're able to notice when you've changed. You're able to notice when you've grown. You're able to notice when you've remained true to a core of who you are. And that's what kind of friends can do. And in your case, that's what you guys will do for each other as siblings. You'll be able to remind each other of how you survived your parents, of how you kind of grew up together, and what made you laugh. 20 years from now, the song from some Weird Al Yankovic song is going to come on, or some song from Steven Universe is going to come on, and you all three are going to sing it together, maybe in front of your kids, maybe in front of a group of friends who are like, what are you doing? But you'll have that together because you share that together, and that's really important. And I hope your dad and I are around for the rest of our lives for at least 30, 40 more years. But if we aren't, it's important that you guys have that history to share with each other. I'm writing down as much of it as I can for you to have, but the writing won't be able to sing along with you. It won't be able to harmonize. So that's one reason why I want you to remain close as siblings, is because it's really important that you serve as mile markers and evidence of progress, or evidence of loyalty to selves. That feels really important. I don't have a lot of the friends that I had when I was a child anymore. There's a few that I loved and love, but I just lost touch. I'm really kind of very bad at keeping in touch. And the other people that I kind of was close to, I don't really want anything to do with anymore, because, yeah, I spent a lot of time as a kid being who I thought would draw the least amount of dislike or anger my way. So I kind of was a people pleaser I was whatever anyone in the room needed me to be at the moment, which meant that I wasn't being myself a lot of the time. And I kind of just really easily outgrew people who I never was myself around anyway. It was no loss. They didn't know me to begin with. But I don't have a lot of kind of holders of memory, holders of history for myself, other than my brother and Tia Kim. One of my best friends was this girl, Tootie, and I've lost touch with her, Carlene, and I wish I could get in touch with her. I have all these letters, though, that I'm going to kind of hope that you guys read one day. That'll say a bit maybe about who I was. Later on, I had a friend, Kathy. We were inseparable, but I've lost touch with her as well. I think it's important that you guys pay attention to who you are, because you'll want one day for someone to be able to tell you what made you you. Even now, you guys are babies and you still like remembering things that happened when you were more babies, and that's pretty cool and pretty special. There's nothing more grin-making for me than when I play a song and you guys are like, I remember when I was a baby and I listened to that first you song, and it's like, yeah, that was last year's song. And for Dai, it's like, that was 5 years ago, buddy. You're still a baby to me. But okay, so that's one reason I want you guys to be able to keep each other's history and record each other's kind of being selves. But another reason is because your siblings are capable of loving you in ways that other people simply aren't. Not all the time, but in your case, I think it'll be true. I know it is in the case of my brother and I. Because you see each other at your best and your worst, and there's puking and farting and laughing and crying, and it's one of those situations where you kind of just have to be together no matter what. And the good news is you guys really like each other. You bicker a lot lately, and I know that you can see how upset I get, because I just want you to get along, and it hurts. Like, it physically and mentally and emotionally hurts when I hear you guys fighting or sad or upset at each other, which isn't your responsibility, that's mine. But I just want you to know that at least right now during this pandemic, you're all you've got. And whether or not you kind of get your own separate groups of friends one day and go your own separate paths and move to different countries or states, you will always have shared a large portion of your life with just each other and your mom and dad, and hopefully a dog one day. And that generates a kind of love, if you allow it, that makes you feel whole in ways that nothing else can. And it's something that it's pretty easy to take for granted. I take Tio Kenny for granted way too much. You saw my reaction when I got the news about him. I couldn't breathe. I thought I was going to actually have a heart attack. And, thinking of anything happening to him almost caused something to happen to me in that moment, because sometimes when it's family or really close friends or tribe, you take them for granted because they're just a part of you. They're like your arm or your leg or your heart or your breath. And you forget that they're these separate people that need to hear how special they are, that need ongoing interactions and memory making to maintain a certain kind of closeness. And I want you to be better than I am at being a sibling. I want you to be more mindful of being in touch and staying in touch and telling your brother and sister and that you love them and how much they mean to you. The way that you guys are, the way that I see you, I think, I can't guess who you'll be. Well, I can guess who you'll be, but I feel like Songyun will definitely be somebody who takes care of you boys. She's bossy, you know that now. She likes to run things and tell you about yourselves. But I think in later years that will really manifest as deep caretaking. And I'm kind of iffy about the whole gendered part of that, where it's a woman taking care of boys because they're a bit helpless and can't wash clothes. I don't want that to happen. But I think that she will take care of you in emotional ways, which is still gendered. But it is what it is. Songyun's a loving, caretaking kind of person. When you guys are hurt or sad, she's there. She's such a nurturer already. And that's just who she is, regardless of gender. And I think that you'll come to rely on that at some point. You do now. And I think in future that will just be something really beautiful. And I also think that I see the way that you guys just kind of adore her sometimes when you're not bickering. And I think it's really important for you as men of color, as humans, to adore a woman of color and to see how strong she is and to see how independent she is and to see how sometimes she really does need to be taken care of. She's a really good experience for you to have and a really good human for you to love as you grow up and go into the world. I hope that your future partners, your future children benefit from your relationship with your sister, boys. I really do. Anyway, I kind of see her role going forward as being someone who looks out for you guys and has your back because she's a very loyal girl. And Taze, you care very much about inspiring your brother and sister. Your play is inspired. You're an inspired magical being. And I like the way that you are very, your curiosity, you always want to check in with them. Hey guys, have you heard this? Hey guys, check this out. And I can just see you being the sibling that calls them up to tell them something you've heard. Check this out. Let's go to this restaurant. Let's try this. Let's do this. And I think that'll be really amazing. I think you'll provide a lot of adventures or suggest a lot of adventures for them. And I think that'll be a really good way to bond. You also allow them to you allow them to be frustrated and loving simultaneously. Your emotions can run really high and really intense, and you can get, frustrated yourself. And it's really interesting to see how there's something about you where nobody in this entire house gets as frustrated with you as they do with the others, because there's something so it's not Peter Pan, because Peter Pan was a bit savvy and a bit mischievous. There's something so ethereal and otherworldly about you that makes you seem more fragile than you probably are, but it also makes us less likely to. Well, Songyun can go pretty hard with you, but in general, you make us want to kind of sort through our own emotions before we chastise you for yours, no matter how intense they are. And that's a really nice thing. Like, you make us pause, and you make us want to figure out a way to get through. And I don't know if that's, well, I don't know if it's something you're doing deliberately. I don't know that it is at all, but you give us all a chance to reframe the way we see reality. You tend to kind of dwell on your own, and sometimes it's hard to bring you into ours. And it's nice to kind of enter yours and to think outside of what a lot of other people see as normal. You know, you'll come up with these whimsical things. I was laughing so hard today. You and I were doing math together, and it was fractions. And you know how bad I am at math. If I haven't told you, I'm terrible at math. And that question was about time. Like, what's 1/4 of an hour? And you answered Thursday. And Adahi was immediately like, oh. And Song and saw Adahi and was like, oh. And I immediately was like, maybe. It was the best moment. We laughed together. It was great. I never felt so close to you. But you do that. It was a completely wild answer. And I hope this doesn't embarrass you to say. Who cares if it was wrong? You do that. You just inject this strange, otherworldly answer into our reality, and it makes us think. Well, it makes me think maybe it is Thursday. I don't know what they teach in Common Core, but you just have this way of injecting magic into our kind of rather, ordinary reality, and it gives us all a little bit of, it makes us all bigger people, and it makes our world a bit more magical. It just does. I see you as always kind of being that magic spark that inspires your brother and sister to dream and to create. Oh, these videos go so long, so quick. I'm already on 17 minutes. Adahi, I see you being someone who really injects your sibling relationships with love. And you have this way of unabashedly and without any self-consciousness, you guys bicker a lot lately, more than ever. And we're in a house all day, or the yard. It's a pandemic, and we're spending a lot of time together, and it's natural for you guys to bicker. I bicker with myself constantly since the pandemic has started, but in those moments and outside of those moments, you really do love intensely, and you don't hesitate to say about your brother and Taze, that's my best friend. And you don't hesitate to just adore Songin and boop her, much to her irritation. But you are going to inject so much love, and you've been around the longest, you're the oldest. And I think that in spite of you being irritated with them sometimes, and they can be irritating, I think that you have this thing that I'm talking about where your love runs deep enough to ensure that you will always be there for them. You will always be able to put aside whatever's going on in your life, put it on hold for a second, and be there for them if they call, if they show up. I think you'll always be like, yeah, of course, come in. What do you need? What can I do? I hope all of you in your own ways will be the glue that holds the relationship together. But I think you'll all do it in different ways and approach it in different ways. Oh, this video is going too long. Sorry, kids. Let me wrap it up. I just want to tell you how much I love you and how important it is to me that you guys always remain close. That you, like I said, you might live in different places, but hopefully not before you're adults. I'm terrified that if anything happens to me, you have to be in the same place. You have to grow up together. There's nothing else that's acceptable in any way, shape, or form. I tell you, maybe when you're 18, you'll get an apartment, maybe with Teus, maybe Song will just come visit, but you have to stay together, and not just as children, but as adults. I really want your children to grow up together. I wish so much that I could grow up with my brother's children, and that he could grow up with you guys. It's a loss. It really is. Just don't move to Texas or someplace where nobody wants to visit. But yeah, it's really important to me that you guys stay close, no matter what, because yeah, you have this shared history, and you have not just the genetic connection, but I think as a family we try and spend time together that really matters, and that we really try and see each other and love each other, and there isn't a replacement for that. And I hope that we've done enough as a family to allow that to bond us into the future, however long we all live. But it doesn't mean that you ever get to stop putting the effort in and the magic in and the work in to maintain that relationship. Don't ever give up on it. Don't ever take it for granted. Spend time with each other. Spend time getting to know each other. I'm doing everything I can to kind of facilitate that, but for you guys too. Stay interested in each other, because you're all magical, you're all beautiful, and you have so much to share and give. And you're such unique children. You really are. You're just unique, special humans. And I hope that you always see that in each other, because I see it in you, and it's pretty brilliant. Alright, that's my video for tonight. I love you guys loads. Thursday. That was the best moment. I love you, kids. Alright, have a good night. I love you.